It's time for hard mode. Okay, so I already had access to all of the other shrines. Not shrines. I had access to all of the... what are these anymore? These back into hearts, I guess, because I didn't figure these ones out. I mean, access is putting it strong given how Death Mountain I hadn't really been to yet. But the last temple that we know of should be somewhere in here. A zone where I have neither of the towers and have not met the people, and just generally stuff has not happened yet. So that's going to be what we do today. Let's go here. I was going to go to the bottom shrine that's already inside the zone, but I figure the bottom zone is the main zone that I think the thing is in, and this little edge over here is like a mountain range. I think it's where those statues were in the first game, and they're probably still there. They're all pointing you through the desert. That's one of the... That's, when I think about Breath of the Wild's ability to guide you on these big expeditions, where you go journeying through these beautiful places and kind of like just sort of discovering on the fly, like, what kind of stuff it has in store for you and so on. Do I have an island above here? Not really. I guess we'll just start climbing. I often think about the really cool way that Breath of the Wild was just so good at having so many landmarks and points of interest and things that you wanted to check out. And how that was the breath of fresh air for... And it's funny because it's called Breath of the Wild. That was the breath of fresh air for open world games because I was so tired of them and I never cared about their worlds or what was happening in them or what you could find, because it was always uninteresting. That's a bubble. Hey buddy, trying to lure me to a cave. I'm ironically not going to get distracted right now. It is right there though. I do find the caves to be one of the least interesting things they've added. Mainly, I don't find the sort of arbitrary connection between the bubble gem beasts and any cave in the entire world to be an especially compelling idea. Oh, here's one of the bubble gem thingies. I don't think I've been marking these. Maybe it would be handy to mark these. Nope. I don't know what to call them though. Sure. Getting some carrots. But there has been a relatively impressive, like, ADHD-ification of Zelda. And that these games, in a lot of ways, as the 3D Zelda games in particular went on, they became more and more focused. And it was always like, there were side quests here and there, but for the most part you're just kind of like observing the obvious path forward and doing that. Okay, so that's a tower. But there must be one to my right somewhere. I said there must be one to my right somewhere. Ah. Okay. Well, there's big mountains in the way. And I do see that tower. So maybe I'll make my way to that tower. Oh, this is geoglyph. Okay, I don't have that one. Let's do that one. Let's do that one right now. See how easily this happens? I love that you spot stuff with your eyes and you're like, I want to go over there. What's that? Not always like an earth-shattering revelation or anything over there. There's a Korok down there. I'm not landing for that. There's a shrine over there, a geoglyph here, and a tower over there. Like, you're juggling all these tasks, and the first game was really good at that already, and in particular, I think about that mountain range on the west side of the map, because that's one of the memorable moments where it's like, you kind of just heard about how there's this series of statues, and like, what does it mean, and what's at the end of them, and where are they pointing? And like everything in these games... What is this? That's interesting. Like everything in these games, you can lean a little too heavy on the consequences and acknowledge too heavily the fact that at the end of the day, there's almost never any loot or things worth getting, and the stuff like that is the thing. Is like there's a lack of rewards, so you really do have to be intrinsically guided to the idea of checking these things out, and that's not always a successful thing the game can manage. Oh god, it's raining. Okay, I'm almost here, thankfully, because this climb's gonna suck. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ah. 1, 2, 3, 4. I've gotten to a rhythm where it's now like 4.5. I think 5 handholds is too much and 4 is slightly too little. Yep, there's Impa. But yeah, sorry, my thoughts are getting all mixed up because of what's going on. The irony of that idea. Like, it's actually, it's kind of a good example, honestly, like how hard it is to finish an entire thought when I'm talking about something in this game, because the act of playing it will hit me with so much new information and stuff to investigate while I'm moving. That one looks new. There was also one down there, which I can't see right now. I'll try to remember it for a moment longer. Like this game has iterated on some of those ideas, and some of them are graceful, and some of them are super messy. And I find the bubble caves just kind of dumb. Like the fact that they added a bunch of caves throughout the game to expand it is cool, and the idea that there's levels in them is cool. But much like shrines, a lot of the caves are just kind of like a regular cave, and so exploring it is not interesting. So being hit with 1 billion bubble gems to taunt you to go into the caves isn't interesting if the like, the bubble gems are a discovery mechanism. Seeing the little guy run into the cave is a discovery mechanism for helping you be sparked by curiosity to check out a cave. And when the cave has a whole thing, it's like, oh, it's a multi-chamber thing, there's a puzzle at one point and then a boss fight, that's cool. When it's just a dumb little cave that dead ends and there's a bubble frog, you're like, oh, okay. But at this point, they've been so hit and miss, and even the boss fights are just like the ones that are copy-pasted. I just don't find the caves to be particularly interesting, and so instead I just try to remember to look for the bubble frog whenever I am brought to a cave doing something else, but I don't want to hunt down the caves. But there's 2 discovery mechanisms for the caves, both the frogs and those shrines, which, like, would be good ways of helping you find the mechanics if the content in them was good. And that's the problem, is that it just always isn't. It isn't always, but it is worth noting that this game does have multiple discovery mechanisms for each of the things in it in many cases. Like we've talked about how there is always just line of sight, and like when you're exploring these maps, Breath of the Wild was designed so that whenever you look around, if you just spin the camera, you're going to see multiple points of interest that are things you haven't done yet earlier, especially earlier in the game. And this game has only increased that because you have the caves, you have these abyss holes that go to different parts of the underworld. There's the shrines themselves that stand out, and you can see them at all these great distances. There's these towers, and the towers themselves give you an opportunity to not only fill in the map, but also launch into the sky, which gives you sky access to stuff, which has its own points of interest. And then there's the fact that, like, much like how the caves can be revealed by the shrine, that the prayer place, or by the bubble gem guys running into them, the shrines can be revealed by line of sight, but they can also be revealed by the underworld, because the whole underworld's full of these guys that share a location with the shrines, and that's just really clever. It's like, not only is it a tool that you can use to have an alternate way of exploring and finding all the shrines, because this area has fog of war, so it's way easier to be completionist here than it is to be completionist here. Not only is this map completely chaotic and crowded and nightmarish to look at, but the shrines themselves are hidden. They can just be behind a cliff or in a cave, and 100 other places to hide them, which is good because some of them are supposed to be rewards for secrets and whatnot. But you can tell how completionist this map is because this freaking blueprint is showing through it. If there's the blueprint there, that means you need to go over there and find the local light sources, and it'll fill in the map. And every time you find one of those, there's a shrine directly upstairs from that spot. That's really cool. That's a cool way of making it so that you can be complete. Sorry. This the first 10 minutes of every session is where the act of talking, like, like agitates my sinuses and creates problems. So either I sneeze or something moves around. But the this is cool. It's still in some ways busy work, and in some ways you could see it as checklist stuff. Like the fact that you explore these blobs to find the thing, and it's a self-driven goal that the game never gives you. It both never teaches you that that's the correlation that they have, and it doesn't like command you to complete this map. And completing the map does not reward you with hearts pieces the way the other one does. It's a self-driven activity to fool around down here. Like there's a huge area down here, but it's ultimately like a sandbox where you only have a handful of actual objectives in this area, and it's otherwise just a place that people will explore as much as they feel like, essentially. So having it correlate up here is an interesting alternate way, because any game that lets you be completionist without having to go online to look up what you're missing, that's good. But it also shouldn't be like Doom 2016, where it's just fucking showing you everything. Like Doom 2016 being like, oh yeah, have you found all the secrets, air quotes, and the secrets are just things the game tells you are there, basically. It's like, yeah, it's like over there-ish, and then you like run around trying to figure out how to rub your character on the environment to get through the door right to get there, but like you know how many secrets there are and roughly where they are. Like that's not what secrets are. But telling you indirectly via stuff you have to discover is more interesting than just having a objective screen that shows you the completionist tasks as a checklist.
Are you well? You seem a bit distracted.
I apologize. I keep getting lost in my thoughts, thinking about how I can return home. With your power over time, if I were able to learn that kind of control, I might be one step closer to my era.
I see. The secret is to think of it like drawing out the object's memory. You ask the object where it was, how it arrived where it is now, and then you coax it back to that original moment in time.
The object's memory.
I'm sure it will become almost like second nature, and you will be able to find your way home. But Zelda, there is more on your mind than just that.
Huh?
You, of course, do want to get back to your time. But you also desperately want to help us out in this era. Am I close to the truth?
How did you know?
I do not believe it is possible to keep anything secret from Sonia.
Oh, your concern is very sweet, Zelda. But listen, you can focus your attention on returning home. After all, you possess more than power over time. You have a sacred power that can dispel evil. Both of these powers will help you protect your own era.
Queen Sonia!
And of course, you must make it home safe to put Link's mind at ease.
Link? That is not a name I have heard.
He is a royal knight. He had been originally appointed for my protection. But later, he became a hero by saving both me and Hyrule from a great evil.
Oh, a hero is he?
He is so very dedicated, and he refuses to back down from any challenge. He is very strong. And his heart is good and true.
Ah, I can see that you have absolute faith in him. Hearing you speak so highly of Link, I find myself wanting to meet him as well.
Indeed. I would also like to meet him. He must be quite the brave, courageous knight. What a picture Zelda paints of him.
Forgot I was wearing that helmet. I don't like it. I do not like this helmet. I do not. There we go. The glide mask. Skydive mobility up. There we go. It wasn't sorted by categories. Put your hair in a little tie. There we go. I wish I could get away with, hello. Well, if it isn't Link. So you are investigating the geoglyphs too, then? How intelligent of you. Yeah, I've got most of them now. Look at me go. I don't know which ones I'm missing. I don't have any in the bottom right, so if I go there and see one, it should be pretty apparent that it's not the right. It's one of the ones I've not done yet. All right, let's remember the temple down here. This is probably a Korok. Ha ha ha! You can always tell early because. Oop. There we go. There was also one like right under me, I think. You can always tell kind of early it's a Korok because right when you're picking up the rock, your interface disappears because you get locked in. Oh, there he is. This one's close enough that I'll just do it, I think. But also because I might want to warp out of here because this place kind of sucks. Oh, sign guy. I thought you were by settlements, usually. What are you doing out here? Okay. Calm down. Oops. I was trying to zoom in, press the wrong button. Okay. In some ways, these are interesting games because they've kind of alleviated some of the problems open world games have, while also fully embracing what they are. I think Tears of the Kingdom is simultaneously the best and worst of open world games in ways where sometimes the... I'm not gonna be able to hook it. See. I'd like to be able to hold it in place. Ah. Like, there's two conflicting schools of open world games. One of them is being... God damn it, I keep mixing up which bumper is the one that drags it closer to me. Oh, you don't press trigger, you just press the D-pad. It's so hard to finish a thought in this game because I'm also trying to not. If you ever wonder why I just fucking stopped dead in my tracks, shouldn't really be a mystery. But I stop dead in my tracks periodically in these playthroughs because I cannot finish a thought sometimes because of how much brain power is used just trying to play the game sometimes. But I also want to give people more than just reactions. I think just reacting emotionally and then not saying anything else really is not as interesting. Only I could fill that gap. This is where we get somewhat fucked by the game having all of these anchor points when you really just want to be able to put stuff where you want. Did you? Hey, just let go of it. It's easy. This is the single most held in place sign I've ever made. The fact that the hooks both were able to hook, I just blindly stuck them against something while filling space. And I'm like, the thing will never escape. There you go, buddy. I got some roots. Yeah, the two competing ideas of open world games are having a series of tasks, like a checklist, and being a sandbox. And this has kind of been a thing since the beginning. And once upon a time, the sandbox used to win. Because once upon a time, we had GTA, the series that infamously people would ignore the story and quests and so on. And oh god, it's fire. It's fire and thorns. It's thorns and water, I mean, so you can't burn it. But I can just fly over it. Especially with this power. There we go. Like, once upon a time, GTA would hit you with all of its story objectives, and there'd be, like, a few competing story arcs that you could do simultaneously, maybe, or there'd just be one for a while. Just go to the letter on your mini-map and do the quest over and over again, and that's how you do the story. Feels weird to call them quests instead of missions, but they're functionally not different from each other. But, like, people didn't do that. What people did... What's up here? There's a chest inside? By the other vent, I guess? What people would always... Nope. Is it proud of me? What people always did is drive around town, rack up a wanted level, and infamously go after sex workers and whatnot. Because playing with the mechanics and having the sandbox do stuff, especially in a time where simulated worlds like that were never that advanced, and reactive and interesting, and sometimes still aren't going by Cyberpunk's standard, that was more compelling than doing everything else the game suggested you might want to do. But then in a post-Assassin's Creed and Far Cry world, we have an overabundance of games where you get a giant checklist of things to do, and increasingly, either players lost interest in always sandboxing and having crazy fun with the systems and world, or, let's be honest, some of these games became less mechanically advanced. In pursuit of graphics and other upgrades, they significantly reduced the complexity of the overall simulation, which made things less reactive and less interesting. Like, a decent example is like Crobecat has videos on Far Cry, and I think that the legacy of that channel is complicated these days, in that the points it makes through implication are increasingly becoming like toxic gamer shit. But if you look at the video specifically about like Far Cry 2 versus like 4 or 5 or whatever, like it is worth noting that like, okay, here's one franchise, and it's about being this, and it's the franchise that has some of the biggest influences on open worlds as we know them and how this genre works. So I find it very interesting to look at how each sequel has been reducing its simulation complexity. To the point where when I played Far Cry 5, the game was so busy being noisy and aggro and constantly hitting me with endless combat encounters that it was almost impossible to even check whether or not Far Cry 5 had any simulations stuff or sandboxy things to do that were interesting mechanically, because the game had been so flattened to one tempo. Instead of having the alternation between quiet time and loud time, like stuff like this where I'm just going around and not much is happening, like there's a tempo to gameplay, and there's a rising and falling action, and like moments of quiet accentuate the moments of loud. And also when you're exploring, it's just nice to have some downtime. So the fact that Far Cry 5 would continually spawn enemies just to be aggro at you pretty much the entire time you were playing it, so that it was like it was insecure about this idea that honestly was once upon a time a founding element of the entire series. This was a series about this tempo and this gameplay and this exploration, and yet it turned its back on many of those ideas to just become this flat action experience. That stuff is noteworthy. To the point where once upon a time, like it's interesting to think of it, once upon a time, Far Cry 2 even had some like, almost like pathologic light mechanics, with there being like durability to worry about, and a sickness that you're managing, and like stakes and consequences moment to moment. Characters that could live or die via the gameplay, if I remember correctly. And a world that was changing and you had to like work with, because the state of where it was safe to be and not safe to be was changing over time on a schedule. Hello. I remember that kind of, but I don't remember what its trick was. It might just be shoot lightning into it or something. This game keeps making me wear pants, which is bullying. If nothing else, if I can climb up to that, I can use my power to skip all the way to the roof. Okay, when I say that this game embraces the best and worst of the series, hello. God, I cannot get through a thought. There's like a lightning rod spot. You lightning that, and that opens probably. I probably have a lightning weapon on me. No, but I have a naked wand. Phrasing. Choo choo, lovely me, money, banana, do 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 da 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 da. Oh, God damn it. Pressing the cancel button to drop it feels intuitive, because pressing the use button feels like it would consume it somehow. So I keep putting it back in my inventory. Alright, well that didn't work. Okay. Hi! Alright, let's get out of here. I am relatively sure that I need the local power. Those feel telegraphed like, you need the local Gerudo power from your Gerudo companion, which is probably lightning because of all the lightning that happens around here. A void. I want to go in it because I always want to go in all of them. Hello. Oh, big hole. You would think that the Skyview Tower would just be like on top of the mountain. In a way, it's kind of odd that they're usually not on top of the mountain. If I were to guess, I would think that he's probably not the best place to start if I want to fight those guys, because he's probably the most dangerous one of all. Well, maybe on the west side of this mountain is where the damn tower is. I don't know where it is. And if I don't see it, I'll follow through with grabbing the other tower, because I can probably use that one to lift off into the sky and find this tower. This area is pretty hostile to navigation, with how vertical and snowy it is. Do-do-do. There's a shrine down there. Oh, there's the tower. Good to have that marked for later. I don't think I want to go on too many tangents because I want to accomplish my usual goal of playing the target storyline during this session. But I'll mark what I can find. And also this sky bridge, this will probably take me to the sky, to an island that itself has a shrine, which I probably will do because I want to have the fast travel spot in the sky. It's just useful. This one doth puzzlingly not have an entrance. Okay. Let's talk to the guy. I don't see a guy. Hudson Construction Activity Report. Who'd have thought a Skyview Tower could get snowed in like that? We're just lucky that the cave we stored our construction materials in was safe. I'm flying back to make a proper report. Okay. The entrance is underground this time. So we have to find the local cave. Which, let's not overthink it. This one's right here. Let's see if this one goes down. Yeah, it is interesting to look back and see that, like, throughout the Far Cry franchise, it seemed to have been more mechanics-driven and have a more interesting world to poke around in, and then each sequel kind of stripped more of that away. I had to use a boat to get there, it looks like. And then you have the sandbox that is GTA, or genuine sandboxes, almost like Scrap Mechanic or other things like that, or Minecraft. And so what Tears of the Kingdom did is, and Breath of the Wild was already like, here's the more sandboxy approach. We're gonna lean heavy towards the idea of screw around and do what you want and poke around. Well, no. I autopiloted on that a little bit. Sorry, I'm trying to get through this fucking thought because I've been trying this whole time, but things keep coming up and things to read. So Breath of the Wild was, in a way, an experimentation on having a massive checklist of things to do, but screwing around with how to obscure the checklist and make it a thing you're discovering again, akin to or older open-world games like Morrowind, instead of just being Assassin's Creed Unity, a franchise that was horrifying. Because, like, Assassin's Creed got rough with each sequel, but Unity, when I played it, populated the entire map with 500 different icons, and even when you went to the filter settings to remove certain icons, when I played it, it wouldn't even save. So every time you open the map, you had to manually filter out as many of the different icons as possible. Just look at the particular type of icon you were trying to track around the map. it was just brutal, and it's just, and you see the giant mess of icons, and fatigue just sets in. This is a giant mess of icons, but I made them. Like, they weren't here when the game started. The game doesn't even have a map at the beginning. It just has these chunks, and you fill them with the towers, and then you fill in these things by doing them and discovering them everywhere. So this world is, instead of being a mess of icons that is a to-do list that's being enforced upon me, it's a combination of icons that I have personally placed because there's something that I want to look at later, or they're a less a checklist and more of a trophy case of things that I've accomplished, which is way more endearing than that. So like, that was a way that Breath of the Wild was already making a step forward by experimenting about how to better present a world that's just a mess of objectives, instead of the exhausting, tiring, tedious, look, you're at 78%, you better play for 4 more hours approach that Ghost of Tsushima has, and so on. This game then leaned even heavier on the Minecraft elements and the idea of having a sandbox, which is what they went heavy with not only this area that's kind of like a self-driven kind of do-what-you-want area for a lot of it, but also the fact that they added building mechanics, which is just like, okay, that's like a reaction to the idea that like they once saw the crazy speedrun tactics and weird tech that that Breath of the Wild players created, and they're like, what if we encourage that even further? So here's 4 new abilities that lean even further into the weirdness of some of that stuff, and then here's an entire building mechanic that lets you create vehicles. Fucking go at it. And in some ways it's iffy, like when there's specific challenges for these things, they can be interesting, but in many cases creating a vehicle is less convenient than just playing. Like if I didn't have a thing to read just now that I was trying to get to after I talk about this, I literally would have just switched the Zora suit and started swimming, because that would have been easier than building a boat. Like, it will take less time. Like, unfortunately the building mechanic is often not actually a convenient thing, so it doesn't usually save time or get you around more easily compared to just climbing and flying and so on. But it's a sandbox, so it fully embraces the fact that these kinds of games, part of them is supposed to be this element of player expression, or the ability to just screw around and not pursue any particular goal, but just create something, or just engage with some mechanic because you want to for a while. So you can see the really creative ideas going into the whole, like, the thought process behind these games is very interesting. Bilson's records. I'm gonna keep a record of my time working on Skyview Tower in the Gerudo Highlands. Day 1. We've arrived at the site and started construction. Unfortunately, a heavy snowstorm blew in as soon as we started. We had to stop and take shelter in a nearby cave. Good news, the cave is warm and safe. We decided to use it as our base camp for the rest of the project. Day 3. I forgot to do this on day 2. I'm off to a bad start. The cave is bigger than any of us could have imagined. We explored inside by following the water downstream. When we were deep in the cave, we heard some hammering. I don't know how a sound from inside made it that far down. We'll investigate tomorrow. Day 6. In the ghost house. Here are some highlights from the cave investigation report. The cave continues all the way under the Skyview Tower. The tower's weight may be a problem. We should build a reinforcement in the cave so it doesn't sink. Day 10. The tower's done. It was a breeze with Pura's clever design and the skillful prep work by Hudson Construction. All the legwork kept on site. All of that legwork kept on-site assembly simple and efficient. Since we may end up using the site again, we decided to leave some materials in the cave. First thing I'll do when I get off this mountain is have a warm bowl of soup. They even explain why there's supplies here, which is funny because it just feels it's a little unnecessary at that point. See. Right, I never got the Zora helm, did I? The thing to poke at later. I don't currently remember what the quest was for that. I think I just wrapped up for the day. It's like, well, that was the amount of time I had for today, and then I just moved on to the next storyline. Whoa. Goofy interaction to have because of the waterfall. Oh? Is this gonna be where the lizard is? The frog? Is it behind the waterfall? You betches it is. I don't hear a frog though. That's probably good enough. Not in love with where that landed, but we are under the tower. My goal is to do this. Here we go. I didn't account for that, but yeah, we ended up under the tower, not finding the base. I thought that we'd find the entrance down there. We've been making slowish progress. I might just see if I can fly directly to the other tower, which looks doable. There's a labyrinth out there. And leave exploration of this area for later. But I think this will be the episode where we fill in the map finally. Only took us 60 hours. I am a little curious about that island arc in the sky. Can I spot it? Where is it? Oh, it's pretty far north. Yeah, I actually can't really reach that from here. Wee woo. I'm chillums again. Slightly cumbersome thing about how quickly you can explore is that you can so quickly flip between all these different biomes of very different requirements for survival. So you keep having to switch back and forth. It's like having to switch on, like open the menu to open, it's like having to open the menu to put on your like water boots in Ocarina of Time, except way more frequent in some cases. In some cases. There's 2 abyss holes. There's one back on that island. There's a few different places to get in to the underworld here. Noteworthy island up there. Doesn't seem big enough though, so it's probably not the temple. The temple's probably underground again. Getting a little off course here. My goal is to land at the other tower. And then take off from that tower, then fly back here to do this geoglyph. I'm trying to be completionist about those 2. Obviously. We are so high up. Like maybe a bit much, honestly. I don't think I can make much forward progress like this though. You would kind of hope that falling would restore stamina, because I'm not currently exerting myself. I mean, skydiving's probably tiring in some way regardless, but in dumb video game terms, I'm not currently hanging onto a sailcloth, so you would think that maybe I'd be able to hang on a bit longer. I see a shrine. Uh-oh. Gonna have to just go for it. Ah! We're fine. 3 felt like a pretty complete number that would make me god of this world. But a 4th ring of stamina would not go amiss. There are definitely situations where it would come in handy. Although at some point, enabling myself to glide for 5 minutes straight might not be the most compelling footage for navigating. Flame guard. There we go, I got my heat clothes back on. Yay! They can't stop me now. I can finally wear what I want. Make it as beautiful as me. I need to reach my friend. Stand directly on top of him. Deal with you later. I am object oriented this week. Or should I say this couple of months, based on the rate at which these will probably come out. So I'm a little disinclined. Oh, got another sign. I'm a little disinclined to stop and create a thing to save those guys over and over again. I'm like, I'm trying to get somewhere, man. Call me later. Or take your backpack off, you weirdo. Is that another shrine thingy for summoning the caves? Instruction guy. I'm gonna test this real quick. I think this sign has a bottom. So if you just counterweight that, it won't fall over. Okay, yeah. Yeah. That's funny. I don't think I've ever seen that happen before. I did a little double take. I'm like, wait, hang on. Do I not have to hold this thing up? Do I just have to hold down the bottom part? And that's exactly what's happening. Scorched meaty balls. Hey guys, can we go up? Uh-oh. Hello again, and good evening. I hate to break it to you, but the Skyview Tower is out of order. I'm here to fix it, but unfortunately the elevator's broken too. I can't get up to the tower to make the repairs. You see that metal bit up there? There used to be a platform attached to that. If you had enough weight, it'd go down and I'd go up. But the platform is gone. There's nothing attached to that metal bit, so I'm stuck down here. Obviously, I can't fix the Skyview Tower. Wish I knew some way to get to the top. Okay, so I think this might be a case where fixing Skyview Tower is done automatically once you get him up there. Okay. It feels a tad more graceful if there was a hook. I guess there's nothing to hook to. Alright, pretty sloppy looking, but I'm also not really taking my time. Oh. Dangerous. This is not good. There we go. Just gotta take off the individual pieces. I just needed a moment to process, because if I took the wrong things off, the whole thing would fall apart. If I shake the top part or the big part, it'll fall apart. I think the impact, I can't tell. I can't tell if that box fell off or if it exploded. But one of the boxes is missing. There we go. Did you enjoy your doom? You almost died. That was me. You're welcome. You the one who got the elevator working? You're amazing. I'll get to work fixing the Skyview Tower right away. Uh-oh. The drive assembly mechanism is stuck. Probably from all the hot hours of the day here. But if I swap out those parts for heat-resistant ones... Yes! It worked! Thanks to you, I could fix the Skyview Tower. Please, take this for your trouble. If you're heading to the desert, make sure you to protect yourself from the heat. It can get dangerous out here. Sometimes there's just no avoiding the heat. When it happens, a meal that'll cool you down should come in handy. Here we go. Our final one. What was that ruin down there? That looked neat. There's also a labyrinth down there. And a labyrinth above it in the sky. And there's a sky tower. We still need to go follow that guy where he went so we can interpret those finally. It's just like a launching point for something. Okay. I thought it was on the ground. There's the labyrinth. I'm cold again, god damn it. Just rapidly oscillating between two temperatures. That's at... That looks... I'll probably fly there next. That looks like it's at the oasis you visit on the way to Gerudo Town. It's where all the men have to wait. The men can't come inside the town. Just gonna tank this damage, honestly. I don't feel like changing clothes over and over again. You know what, I might need to, actually. The sun's going down. I don't think this is necessarily the sky altitude problem. It might just be how things are in the desert temperature-wise right now. I think the teardrop's probably up on this cliff, because you have to be able to stand in it. I think I see it, even. Like, I think at a greater distance the rim of the pool was showing up more, but I think I see a little bit still now. Here we go.
Allow me to offer you my deepest apologies. On behalf of the Gerudo, for taking so long to accept your repeated invitations. It is our desire to be accepted into the protective embrace of your kingdom. To serve it faithfully.
A welcome appeal, Ganondorf. I will accept your vow of fealty to the kingdom of Hyrule. I understand that a single male is born to the Gerudo every 100 years. Receiving such an appeal from you, a hero to his people and a king by birth, well, it is truly reassuring.
It is my honor. When your Zonai ancestors first descended upon these lands long, long ago, they must have seemed to be gods. And now you rule as king, and have taken a Hyrulean woman as your wife. Your Majesty has certainly risen above your admirable lineage. Most impressive. It is unfortunate that the noble Zonai no longer grace this world with their presence. All except you and your sister, that is.
Even if something were to happen to me, both my kingdom and the peace it brings, these will endure for generations to come. Your actions today are appreciated, Ganondorf. I look forward to your future endeavors. You may leave.
Your Majesty.
King Roru, I believe that man's heart holds many dark ambitions. Just his name, even that, it gives me pause.
I am well aware of his evil nature. For that reason, and others, I want him close. It will be easier to keep an eye on him. There is nothing to worry about.
Okay.
Cold. You would think that at some point the whole legend of the one male born every 100 years. Wow, the desert's cold too. Damn it. How am I gonna have my hot girl summer? So much of this world is too hot or too cold. But the cold is really ever-present. There's not that many especially hot places, besides the big obvious example. But so much of the game turns cold based on altitude. Oh. There he is. Can I make it to him? To pay a visit when I see him. So you think that the ever-present legend of there being one male every 100 years would be thought of as being way more foreboding with how many of them seem to turn out to be Ganondorfs. Like, surely the legend of Ganondorf is known also, in addition to the legend of there being a male every 100 years. And given how many Ganondorfs there have been, you think that that'd be inherently, like, maybe we should be a bit more upset when the dude is born. Both, like, not even just from without, but within the culture even. Like, maybe the Gerudo should be more bothered by that, because it seems like they're... I think they still see it as a blessing, like a... And I'm like, I don't know if that's a good idea. I don't know if that's good, actually.